All right, there we go. So you are all here to hear about motivating students in an online environment. A hot topic since we don't know exactly what our situation will be in the next few weeks when we get back to school, and thus the excited, anxious, nervous, but hopeful and scared feelings that we're all having and know that our students are having. I'm Lori Yeager. I've been a member of the Moorick Model Schools team for the past 20 or so years. Have a couple more years that I planned on spending in this role before I go off into semi-retirement, probably doing some other things, but didn't realize what an exciting couple of years that might be. And I'm thinking that it could be a couple of years before things are back to what we remember to be normal. But we're all together on this. My team is here to support you, and that is what I'm hoping to do today with some of the resources that I'm going to be sharing. I also have a link in this slide deck. So once I share this slide deck with you, there will be a link to access the slide deck from my Building Relationships with Students in the Online Environment presentation that I did on webinar that I did on Tuesday. So you get both. Aren't you lucky? All right, we're going to talk about a variety of categories and ideas and thoughts within those categories to help keep your students motivated in whatever kind of learning setting that we experience when they're back in September. So providing the students with choice and autonomy is our first one. I like to integrate a little bit of humor, since we all know that that is good for stress relief. It's how I've made it through some of the more stressful times in my life, and I think this could possibly count as one of those. So I'll interject some little memes and different things. This is something that I made up when I was feeling whatever at some point. Took our cute little Moorick logo and turned it into a socially distanced mask wearing logo.
Did you want to be sharing your screen with us?
Yes, I am so sorry that when I got kicked out, I neglected to go back to that. Hang on just a second. There we go. All right, let's make sure that we didn't miss anything important. Now, you know me. Appears to be a slide I missed taking out. And then we were going to talk about choice and autonomy. Everyone seeing my screen now? Yay. Thank you, Melissa. All right, so here was our pre and post COVID my attempt at humor, where our two little people who are usually quite close friends are now socially distancing and wearing masks. So to kind of kick things off, I happened to find this graphic, Mr. Schlechty's definition of engagement, and that engagement is so much more than possibly just the ritual compliance that we may push for in our classrooms, where the kids are being good doobies, but they're not necessarily really engaged in the activity. And I have a link to a further article about this if you'd like to read more. I think you all get it. Then, talking about providing the kids with choice, Slides Mania is a tool that I love. It's the template that I'm using in today's presentation is from Slides Mania, and they've come up with a lot of really neat things as we've entered into this COVID area that would help out. So they have a couple different templates that you could use for as choice boards, or you could also use them as kind of agendas or planners for your students. And I do have hyperlinks right to the templates themselves here. So if you come back and you go, I think I want to try this one out, all you'll have to do is click in my presentation on it. Wherever you see the little hand when you're navigating my presentation will be places you can click. And then up here, I click I link to Slide Mania has a whole section of choice boards that you can browse.
Lori, there's a question in the chat. Does this work with Google Slides? They want to know.
Yes, those are Google Slide templates that when you click on them, it's going to ask you if you want to use the template or going to force you to make a copy, one of the two. And then they have set it up such that it's linked that between the different slides, they'll be able to click on the choices and move around within the slide deck, utilizing it like a choice board. Okay. Then these were some fun examples I found of math choice boards. Now, with a variety of the resources that I'm sharing, it may take a little creativity to apply this to the either all online, all in person, or hybrid situation that you may be in come the beginning of September. And we know that situation could change at any point, but I trust that all of you can take these ideas and make them your own. So there's ways, these might have, some of the activities might have been structured to be for in person, but I think that you can come up with ways to do it technologically. In some cases, I've made the technological choices for you or options for you and provided them. These I did not, but even like the sing along, create a song, the kids could then record it and share it with you in some way. Creating a poster, they could do that on paper and take a picture of it to send to you if they are in a remote learning setting. So I think these will be great ideas for you to give a try, no matter what your setting is. I found, as I was searching, this one particular, what did they call it? Personalized digital learning choice board. So I did a little further digging to try to find where it came from. And it was the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. And I link here to their website. And if you go to their resource toolkit, they have some personalized digital learning playbook sections for different grade levels. And then within that, they've got, these were actually considered playbooks, I think, that I really liked. So you may want to browse around in there to find some others if you like this one specifically. What I liked about how this one was structured was that the activities are in columns by, I learned better by listening, I learned better by seeing, or I learned better by writing and creating. Again, this is something you probably couldn't use canned exactly the way it is, because in some cases it links to resources that they're buying specifically within their school district. But I liked the idea of how they had structured it, and somewhere in the document, I believe there's instructions about how they then interact with the teacher on it, that they do the activity and then they have to check in with the teacher to show they're learning it all. Casey Bell is one of the Google gurus that I've followed for years, and especially during this time frame when we're all looking for ideas. She does a lot with the choice boards, choice menus, interactive learning menus. This will link you out to her template, where it's a tic-tac-toe board kind of choice. They have to do the center square to get started. And then they have to choose other activities to do that will complete a tic-tac-toe. So they do have some choice. And in her case, since she's all about technology, her options are technology related. But again, you could adapt that if you do have your students in person, or they could still be doing the work online, but maybe be able to be sharing with you in person. This one was kind of cute. This was actually part of an article that I have linked here where Casey Bell was talking about the whole choice menus. And this was a gentleman, Tom Spell, that created this digital cafe with entrees, desserts, appetizers, sides, etc., for using these different tools to have the kids show what they know. Some of these are not Ed Law 2D compliant or cannot be used with students. So again, you would have to be a little creative, but I liked the idea in general. And I believe, yes, I have this linked to make a copy of this so that then you could edit it. It is a Google slide deck and make it your own. And I like that it does include some non-digital options too for the students. And then these were some additional ones that were shared via Casey Bell, but it was actually guests that she had in for a podcast that she was doing on home learning with choice boards during school closures. So there's a link to the article so you can listen to or read about the conversation that Casey and the guest speaker, whose name escapes me right at the moment, might have been Steinbreck. But here are some of her examples of, in the English language arts high school area, what she had the students doing. And she had this as a weekly kind of assignment that they needed to complete this choice board. And then this one, just when I was researching the choice board topic, not that any of you need anything more to do, but this was kind of a fun PD bingo that gives some ideas of things that you could be doing in your spare time that you don't have this summer. That an administrator in a district created. And then this page links you to a handout that talks about how and why it's important to motivate students through choice and some of the different choice options you might give them. This could be good to share with parents also because it addresses specifically managing them at home. And this will link you to the website that they came from, this SESI Schools, and they even have some videos explaining some of the different categories of choice further. Then another way to motivate your students is providing them with an authentic audience. If they know that their work is going to be shared beyond just with you for grading purposes, sometimes that can be motivating for them. So, but let's see, Billy looks to be lacking in motivation, but has some good imagination. Billy, I noticed you didn't do your digital assignments. Yes, my computer caught a virus, so I decided to social distance from it. So, utilizing Google Sites to share student work is an option. One of my colleagues did a webinar on Google Sites that you can link to from here. This example that I also have a link to was the teacher had created a class website and then was sharing the students' shark research projects on the main class site. And then these were all examples of the students having created their own individual Google Sites and using that to present their, in most cases, research project, the result of the end of their studies, a couple of them science, one history. And then I did link here to, we have an upcoming Google Sites online course if you do want to learn more about utilizing Google Sites. If you click here, it'll take you to the description and the registration for that online course that's coming up in August with my colleague Carl Manganero. And then, didn't know if you were aware of the option within any of the Google tools, or most of the Google tools, Sheets, Docs, Slides, Drawings, they all have an option of publish to the web. It then provides you with a link. You can indicate that you want it to automatically update the content as the content is changed, but then you can take that link and you could put it on your web page, or you could share it out in whatever way. And this is how it would then display as like its own little web page. So you could have the students completing a blog or whatever, And as long as you have the box checked for update this as the document is updated, as someone goes to the link new or refreshes it, they would see the document up to date as of then. And I do have a link here to Google's support with further explanation of how the publishing files as web pages works, or publishing to web works. Then building a sense of community and collaboration is another component of motivating and engaging your students. I do have a number of activities related to this topic in the building relationships with students presentation. So if you want to take a look at that one, you can get some even more ideas. But I did try, knowing that I had a lot of repeats from Tuesday to today, I did try to come up with some new things to share. But for our humor break, do not let them take your temperature going into the store. It's a scam. They're erasing your memory. I went for bread and eggs and came home with Bluebell ice cream and Snickers. I had something somewhat similar happen, but I think I actually went in looking for the ice cream, but I had run out to mail my daughter's income taxes at the last minute when I discovered that I couldn't file hers online, and went to the new Hannafords in Rome, and yeah, came home with a lot of ice cream and cookies. So they don't even have to scan your temperature for it to happen to me. So an activity that I happened to read about in actually Matt Miller's Ditch That Textbook website, where he was gathering ideas from different teachers. This teacher said that they do a mystery person activity at the beginning of the school year to kind of get to know each other. They normally do it in person on a blank index card where the student would write a fact that other people don't know about them on it. But to do it in a remote or technological way, I set up a little Google form here. I thought I had linked it, but maybe I didn't. I need to go back and do that, because I did actually create a form that you could make a copy of. Not that this one would be difficult to do on your own, but if you had the students complete this electronically through Google form, then you could take the responses and bring them into Flippity. So to show you how that would work, I took I entered a few students worth of kind of dummy data into the form, brought it over here into the Flippity flashcard option, and the students either virtually through a video conference or in person in class, or however you might want to try this, could walk through the, I can walk on my hands. Who might that be? I don't know. Oh, look, it's Sue Smith. What about I can speak 2 languages? Oh, that would be John Jones. Oh, and I think I clicked too fast, but Jane had some claim to fame as well. And then I also wanted to show you within the flashcards option, there's also some additional options. I kind of like the matching game, where, remember how we played concentration with playing cards when we were little? You'd flip over 2 cards.
I can speak 2. I can walk on my hands.
Oh, I was gonna say, who's talking? But it actually speaks when I click on the cards. So let's see.
I was born in another state. Jane Jones.
That was Jane's claim to fame. So there's a variety of activities all under that flashcards option. What was the other one? The randomizer wheel. Now, do I want this? Okay, we click this and it spins around like The Price is Right. And then the students could type into the chat or shout out or whatever, who they think it is. And we could keep clicking this to go through the different options. Or one last one that I wanted to show, they do have all within the flashcards option, a print quiz as well. So if you wanted to do this in person, you could print this out on paper, where the students would have to go in and type or write. their choices. So basically the way Flippity works, you enter information into a template that is a Google Sheet, and then you can do all these different cool activities. So that's just one example. And I did a webinar back in the spring that I have linked here if you want to go watch that and learn more about using Flippity. Then, oh, let's see, I think this was one of Matt Miller's templates. He has a variety of social media templates that you could use to have the students act out different parts as if they were on social media without actually being on social media. And this teacher, this was an activity she normally did in person with the students, but you could do electronically with Matt Miller's template here. She had them create Instagram selfies called visual learning selfies, where they tried to describe in an Instagram story sort of fashion. Was it Instagram or was it something else? Whatever, one of the social media tools that I don't use. Describe their learning style. So the teacher was learning about them. It was giving the kids a chance to think more about how it is that they learn. And then this could be posted. I think this teacher has them posted on her teacher website. Then this was an icebreaker that I happened to find at this article that you can link to about icebreakers for the start of your group sessions online. And it was about having the kids or have everyone in the group share an object that's on their desk or workspace that has a certain backstory that relates to something they care about. And you might have to, modify that description based on the age of your students or the setting that you're in or whatever. But then I have an example here of using the Flippity random name checker to call on the students. And you do normally give them a brief time frame, like 30 seconds. So they've got to be concise about their communication about their object. And you could do both the timing and the choosing of the names with the Flippity random name picker. And then one other that I found at that same article, it would be a neat way to do attendance, but also kind of take a temperature check, figuratively speaking. We know there's gonna be a lot of temperature checking literally taking place either at home or at school, but in the figurative sense, the students you could give them a theme and have them use that theme to explain how they're feeling in the chat. And then you'd be taking attendance and making sure they're there and getting them engaged all at once. So one example was, if your mood were a color, what would it be? Dark gray, brilliant crimson, deep lush green? Share the color you're feeling like in our chat window. And what about what sport resembles your mood right now? Are you feeling like you're in a marathon, steady and constant? Are you in a steep downhill ski competition? I'm feeling a little bit like that right now myself. Or are ideas bouncing like a basketball? Is that your mood right now? Then Google Jamboard is an amazing way to get kids interacting with you, either in a synchronous or asynchronous kind of setting, because with Jamboard, it's an interactive whiteboard. My colleague, Allison Blackwell, did a webinar on it that you can go click on the link here and go watch, but these are some screenshots from her presentation showing a variety of the things that you're able to do. You can set up a background onto which they could create, type, and drag and drop sticky notes. So if they're trying to coordinate a project together, this is a tool that they could use. You can even drop copies of documents that the group is working on in here. Kind of takes a screenshot. It doesn't actually link out to the live document, but at least you can see that, okay, this was a task we had to do, and here it is. When you click on it, it pops up into a bigger format that you can see it, and when you're not clicking, it shrinks back down, so it's more the size of these. Another Jamboard feature, you as the creator are able to, and possibly the students as they're utilizing it, you can change the background. So if you did need some graph paper background, and then there are tools along the side that the students can actually hand write, and then they could type their answer into a sticky note, etc. And then they can also take pictures and insert those on the fly into that Jamboard. So here I believe these are the words that label those different parts of the face. Then, rewarding and celebrating success with your students is definitely an important part of them being with you in person, and even more important if they're going to be remote from you. But for our little humor break, who picked mysterious Chinese seeds for August? This was a new one, as this is something I only started hearing about on the news within the past few days, that if you do receive any seeds in the mail, I don't know what I assume they're recommending you throw them away. It's not necessarily a good thing. So creating some kind of leaderboard for keeping track of how your students are doing as far as completing tasks that they need to do for you, and doing it in a Google document here in this case. I do have a link to a template for this, and a link to the webinar where Allison was telling us more about celebrating student success digitally. Then Flippity, my favorite tool again, also has a badge tracker. We're utilizing it here in Mount Markham for helping keep track of how the teachers are moving through the blended learning online course that we're doing. As they complete modules, we check them off, and you're able to insert graphics to be the badges, and then plug in the names in the spreadsheet of the people that are participating. You can have links that explain more about a particular badge, or take them to resources related to that, or documents that explain more about that particular badge. And then you can see and print out, if you wish, how the different participants are performing. And then this one uses Google Sheets. And here I link to the website that this originated from, and also have a link to a copy of this where they are keeping track of points that then move the students up through various levels, but then they also have privileges that come along with the kids achieving the different levels, that they earn blog immunity. I assume that means they don't have to post to the classroom blog. That must be a requirement. They don't have to do bird brain or ReadWorks, whatever. So as they hit different levels in accumulating points or checking off badges or whatever, you can give them special privileges.
Lori, there's a question in the chat. They want to know, can you do badges privately for each student?
I'm not sure with Flippity. You might have to create individual badge checkers, but that still wouldn't be too difficult. So I think the tool is meant for it to be visible to the whole group, but sure, we could help you figure out a way to do it privately. Or I will check afterwards and see if that's an option, but that's not one that I'm remembering. Do you, Heather?
No, I think the concept of badging is supposed to be public because it's kind of like a competition in a way, sort of, kind of. Yeah.
Yep. But by having individual documents for the different students, you could still do some of these things in a more private fashion. Award certificates. Who doesn't like to get a nice little certificate, be it actually on paper or virtually? Slides Mania, again, one of my favorite resources for Google Slide templates has a whole section of awards. They made them at the request of a lot of schools as far as wanting graduation or award ceremony for the end of the year awards. So this will link you to their document for that, or their webpage for that. And then this was another example that Allison shared in her webinar for doing rewards based on points, and then having the students, as they accumulate points, get different privileges. Like they can make it to 100 points, the teacher will learn a TikTok dance and post it on Google Classroom. Sure, the kids would love that. And then just as I was kind of browsing around ideas of what to do to reward and motivate your students, writing them a note or sending them a card came up. So I thought, well, let's put a little technological spin on this. Eric Kurtz, another one of my favorite Google gurus, he has the Control-Alt-Achieve blog. And let's see, is that right? Yes, controlaltachieve.com is his website. He has a link to how to use Google Drawing to create greeting cards. And here I have you linked to a template that he provided where you plug in the information. Here he has the instructions on what else you need to do, because like in these two squares, you enter your text, but then you have to spin it around so that then you can print this out and fold it up and actually send it out in the mail to the students, because I would think that would be exciting to them to get mail. Or you could encourage the students to do something similar themselves. Then providing the students a way to communicate with you and make sure you're providing them adequate feedback is another part of maintaining their motivation. This was just a random picture that I like. I won't sing for you, but this is from that song. I throw my hands up in the air sometimes singing AO, and it's not I'm a Lego, but I don't remember what the real words are anymore because I always sing it like this now. So giving feedback on assignments that are some type of Google documents. You are able to add comments to the student's work by highlighting something in the document and then clicking on the little comment icon. I have a link to the Google support page if you're not familiar with the steps on that. And not only can you add comments on the fly, but if you have comments that you make frequently, things that you say often, you can add them to a comment bank, and then in the future only have to drag and drop them in from the comment bank to be able to add them to your students' work. And hey, technology is supposed to be all about making us more efficient, and that is an example of where that could be the case. Screencastify is a tool that my team has used extensively during this COVID timeframe. It's a Google Chrome extension that allows you to record your screen and your webcam and your audio. So when we, quite often if we're doing webinars, especially shorter ones, we will pre-record them using Screencastify and then post them. They have two courses, Master Screencaster and Genius Screencaster. And even if you don't go through the entire process to get their little certificate and badge, which just requires you taking a quiz at the end, they do have some wonderful videos walking you through their product. So creating videos for students and giving video feedback is one of the videos, and I think I link you here right out to that spot in their webpage. And then it does show you how, as well as adding comments to the student's document, you could actually screen record yourself adding those comments, but have your voice and your running commentary added to it. And when you're done recording, with the free version, you get up to 5 minutes. If your district purchases Screencastify, then you get a longer time frame. I don't know if it's unlimited, but you do get a longer than 5 minutes time frame, and a few other features. But once you finish your recording and hit stop, it then gives you an option. Well, it saves it automatically to your Google Drive and then gives you an option to copy the shareable link. So you could be making comments and actually typing them into the document, recording yourself while you're doing it, and then the last comment that you post be the link to your voice. So they can hear you talk about it, but then still have your written comments to refer back to. So I thought that was a good technique to use, especially if you're going to be working remotely with your students. It's so hard to have text be the only way that you're interacting with them. And then Alice Keeler is one more Google guru. She's part of the Screencastify Genius level course that you can link to from the top of the screen here. But she has an adorable video talking about recording words of encouragement for your students. Because not only can you record your screen, but you can say that you just want to record your webcam and use it just to record yourself on screen. Then just providing the students with engaging activities hopefully is going to help keep them motivated. So I've tried to give you some examples in this next section about activities using video, audio, images, etc., to just provide the students with different ways to show you what they know and that they are grasping the material that you're sharing with them. Oh, this is a cute little video. Let's see if we can get it to play okay. So what not to do in Teams meetings or Google Meet meetings or Zoom meetings.
It's so great to see you. Oh, hi. Oh my goodness, you guys look so great today. I think there's some sounds happening. Can we turn those sounds off, guys? Remember, you need to mute your mics. Mute your mics, guys. Remember, we need to be sitting safely and in a good, wide open place with lots and lots of light so that we can see and hear and focus. That's not safe. Forts aren't for during class time. This is class time. I made a very nice pillow fort. It needs to go away now. You need to come out of your pillow fort so we can see you. I made a pillow fort. Someone's eating right now. Let's save that for afterward. Our meeting is only going to be a few more minutes. I'd like to see people. I'd like to see people, not stuffies. It's my sloth. We'll do show and share later. Now's not the time for show and share. Now's the time for some math.
Do you see him? He's my sloth.
Let's make sure that we put all of our stuffies and other toys away. We don't need those right now. I'd like to get started, and not with the sloth. I have a cat. Here's my cat. Want to see my cat? Why is there a cat there? Want to see my cat? It's my cat. Look it. Yeah, it's my cat. I'd like to see your face. It's my cat. Please. It's my cat. I see that you have a cat. That's something. Tip your camera down, bud. Yeah, tip your camera down. I need to see you. Not quite. Not. Move back a little bit. Turn that. Fix it. Does anybody have any questions about last night's work about inferencing? We were discussing some of the questions yesterday. We were looking at some of the story little samples, and we were talking about them a bit. You were supposed to look at the rest of them. Does anybody have any questions at all? Make sure that you're focusing on the class that's going on and not something else that's on the TV. If you have something on, can you please turn that off? Can you please turn that off? Please turn it off. I'd like to remind everybody about our meetings tomorrow. We're going to be discussing some more of our geometry that we were talking about earlier today. and we're going to be practicing because
No,
we want to
apple
have a
juice.
quick.
Apple juice. Apple juice.
We want apple juice. We're preparing for a quick.
Okay, orange juice.
Let's mute our mics. Let's mute our mics. Don't forget.
Sure, grilled cheese.
If you
Yeah.
have to talk to someone in your family,
Okay.
mute your mic.
So that happened to come up in my Bitmoji crazed teachers Facebook group this morning, and I decided that it was definitely fitting for our activity today. So Matt Miller, another of those gurus that I've referred to, that has ditched that textbook, and also what's his book? Teach Like Like a Pirate? Is that his new book, Heather?
Yes, and it is amazing. I highly recommend it.
Well, and he also was part of a EdTech in the Bend conference out of Big Bend, Indiana, or wherever that is. A conference that I happened to know someone from downstate that he was going to be participating in. So that brought it to my attention, but then a number of the gurus that I like. Matt spoke earlier in the week, and Eric Kurtz is on this afternoon, Heather, at 1 o'clock. So if you Google EdTech in the Bend, you should be able to find a link to their YouTube page where they have these all archived, and I believe they're going to be there through at least the beginning of September, Labor Day. I think they said they were going to leave them up. So he has a wonderful presentation there that talks about a lot of these different things, but he loves the idea of using social media and the related apps, not actually live, but through different templated ways to do different activities. So you don't need the app to create the experience. 10 ways to use social media in the classroom, and he's got all kinds of great ideas here. This one was a template for TikTok, is it? And then some notations of how you might use that in the classroom. And this takes you to his webpage where he talks about that. ClassTools.net is a webpage that I'd kind of forgotten about, but they have some different templates or different tools for creating fun activities. Like these were just some of their examples, but the breaking news generator allows you to plug in a news channel, a headline, a description, a date, and a place. And you can even bring in, I think, your own picture to put in here to create a little breaking news thing. And this could feed into a bigger conversation about, fake news and all that kind of stuff, how easy it is to create something that looks fairly real. And this links you out to that classtools.net webpage. Only thing I don't like about this one, it does have some advertisements, so you have to learn to ignore some of the little buttons and things that pop up and warn the students of that. But otherwise, they have some fun, neat tools. This is another one, iFake Tech Messages is the website. iFakeTextMessage.com, where the students could create fake text message conversations. For example, brainstorm dialogue between characters in a creative writing assignment. And again, it does have some advertisements, so you need to warn the students away from clicking on any of that, but otherwise they don't have to enter any information about themselves or anything, so they could still do it, take a screenshot of it, and turn that in as an assignment. And then, I have a link. Look at that. I was looking out for you guys. I do have a link to Matt Miller's EdTech in the Bend presentation here, so you don't even have to go Googling it. And in there, he was talking about making videos, but not just having it be, okay, here I'm sitting in front of the camera. Let's look at it through different lenses of you're a news anchor, you're an on-the-scene TV reporter. If any of you remember the Blair Witch Project movie, doing it in that kind of style, or the reality game show kind of style of something like the Cash Cab. And then I had kind of forgotten until I was doing some searching. Chatterpix is a really simple, free little app. They have a Chatterpix and a Chatterpix for kids. The only difference with the Chatterpix for kids, I think the regular Chatterpix, they give you an option for posting your completed project to social media. With Chatterpix for kids, they're able to save it. This one is an iPad or iPhone-based application, but if any of you remember way back to the Blabberize days where you could bring in any picture into this website, draw a mouth, and then have it talk. This is like that, but even simpler. I think you are limited to 30 seconds, but I've helped with projects where they did it with young students. You know, they take a picture of a triangle, they draw a mouth on it, they can put little stickers on it to give it eyes and glasses and whatever, but then draw the mouth, record themselves talking like they were the triangle, explaining why there are a triangle, that I've got, you know, 3 angles and 3 sides and whatever. And when I was showing this off to teachers of older students, they said, you know, not a regular diet of this, but this might still be a fun, quick, easy way. There's no learning curve to it, to learning the tool for the older students to be able to check in on some kind of topic. So, and it is as simple as you draw the mouth with your finger. Well, actually, whoa, look at that. The video to show you how easy it is. Take the picture, draw a line with your finger, record your voice, put some stickers on. So any photo you can take or any image that you can grab from online, you can then draw a mouth on, put a voice to. Then another fun, and I'm not even sure where to find this. And just through some searching, happened to find, or maybe it was referenced and I was pointed here by one of the Google gurus, but it's about making RSA animate style videos. I wasn't sure quite what that meant, so here I'm playing you. So it's Common Craft, I think, is the other one that does some videos similar to this, where they're talking about a concept and illustrating it.
In my work, we find that some students have a fixed mindset about their intellectual abilities and talents. They think intelligence is just a fixed trait. You have a certain amount, and that's that.
So they're talking about having the kids do this. You record the them drawing.
This is the story of John Brown's raid.
Drawing on a whiteboard, and then just play it back at like 4 times speed and have them record
On the night of October 16th,
their
1859,
narration of whatever the
22 men,
story it
including
is
John
that they're
Brown and his 3
illustrating.
sons, entered Harper's Ferry, Virginia.
Thought it was another fairly
After seizing
easy
the
to
federal
execute
arsenal there, Brown sent several of his men into the countryside
idea
to eager slaves to come help him.
with fairly simple materials.
His men
And then I did mention this in Tuesday's class because it was something that Matt Miller had brought up in his talk that I had listened to before I did Tuesday's presentation. I've got a link to his article about YouTube-inspired classroom video ideas, but the whole idea of the unboxing video, which seems
Hey
to be one of
kids,
the...
today we are opening this box to see merch cubes.
So this one was an example of a set that, whoops, back up there. My bud, Allison Blackwell, who's also an FTE here in Mount Markham with me, did this with the 7th grade math students. They made unboxing videos about various STEM tools that we have, like the merge cube and some of the robots and whatever. You know, they have to write a script, they have to plan together. So, you know, it's a fairly robust activity. But Matt mentioned, and the people in his presentation viewing his presentation came up with even some additional ideas, other ways to use this unboxing idea. If we're talking about having the students introduce themselves, they could do that with an unboxing video. fill the box with things that represent them. They could do a time capsule to share with their future selves to explain about what these times are like. I'm thinking there would be masks and hand sanitizer and all kinds of things in there. It could be an unboxing video from a historical character, a survival kit to someone that they read about. And it's good practice to include a note that explains about what's in the box. It gets them writing, but one of the teachers watching said they could do it with rocks for science class, or a box of toys explaining the physics behind how they work. So all kinds of different ways you could use it across curriculum areas. And then Matt also had some templates for creating infographics. There are some tools out there, not all of them are Ed Law 2D compliant, so he created some just Google slide templates that you could use, where from a website called the Noun Project, which has all kinds of little icons like this. It's free. You do, as the teacher, have to sign up for an account, but then as long as you give credit to whoever you got them from, because it's a variety of people that contribute to this Noun project, you're able to use them. Or I paid, I think it was $20 to get it for the year, and now I can get the icons, I can edit them any way I want, and I don't have to give attribution to them. But so Matt created this whole little template that your students could use for creating their infographics, including this one that is a treasure map that you could show a process taking place as you move along the treasure map. And this links to his article where he talks more about using infographics to help the kids show what they know. Then having the students create motivational posters related to the topics that they're working on. And let's see, I think this links out to, I had created a little presentation for some teachers here in Mount Markham that I link you to here that gives some instructions and some templates. But for social studies, here's one: Hannibal, elephants never forget, and Italy will never forget me either. Or even in math class, you could have them come up with a picture, come up with a word, and some cute, fun little saying to go along with that. And Eric Kurtz at Control Alt Achieve came up with this idea, or well, he is where I gained inspiration from. And then adding audio to slides, which is something relatively recent feature of Google Slides. It may have been a year or two now, but it seems relatively recent. So this links to 25 ways to use audio in your Google Slide projects. This links to a example of a interactive slideshow story where it's an interactive, choose your own fate kind of story, and how nicely those could then be enhanced with the addition of audio. And then here I have a link to a little mini presentation taking you through some of the tools that you can use, and then also how to use them to insert audio into your Google Slides. And you as a teacher, this might be a way for you to create presentations to share with your students, where you would talk your way through your lecture or whatever and be able to insert the audio into the Google Slide presentation. And it might then be a smaller file than if you're trying to record like a Screencastify or something, and all the students would have to do is pull up the slide deck that you share with them and play the audio. And I thought it would be fun to even put in little sound effects. Did you ever listen to books on tape when you were a kid and there was the little like Tinkerbell noise when it was time to turn the page? You could create one long audio file that you just insert on the first slide, but then have those little sound effects for the kids to know when they needed to advance to the next slide.
Lori, could I add something in there too? I was using that during the shutdown, and I found that the audio did not work on an iPad. I just wanted to put that out there. So that would be Chromebook and laptop only. And also there's a question if you have any specific resources you would suggest for math during remote learning.
that is a webinar that I'm preparing for Jefferson Lewis BOCES for the second week in August. So I don't have those organized right now, Susan, but I'm willing to share with you my slide deck when I do, okay? That's my goal for next week. So, Box of Lies, Allison Blackwell, one of my
Chris
awesome
and I
colleagues.
are about to face off in a game of Box of Lies. Now, here's how it works. Upstage are 9 mystery boxes containing objects no one has ever seen before. We'll play 3 rounds. Chris?
I'm going to fast forward a little bit through this, but if you're familiar with the concept from watching the
You
Tonight
can either
Show.
lie about this or you can tell the truth. It's up to you.
So in the version on the Tonight Show, they actually pull boxes, but you could have pictures that you provide to the students, and they then have to, with a partner, describe it, and the partner has to decide if what they're describing is true or it's a lie. And having pictures of really weird things like
Now, stretching,
Chris?
yoga, and
Chris was accurately describing that there were little gnomes doing yoga. Jimmy Fallon thought that it was a lie, and it actually was the truth. But I started researching this a little further and found out that this concept is very popular in the English language learner teacher community. And I found a link to an article talking about a variety of different Tonight Show games that you could use for vocabulary review. So I have that linked here, and you can watch this video in its entirety if you wish to later. And then I actually shared this in my Building Relationships webinar earlier in the week. Using virtual backgrounds is something that you are able to do in Zoom, and that is supposed to be one of the updated features for Google Meet for the fall. Some of the new features of Google Meet, like breakout rooms, are going to only be part of the paid enterprise version, but I believe the either blurring out your background or being able to put in a virtual background is going to be part of the free Google Meet. So I have a link here to a whole folder that this Jesse Lubinsky curated of virtual backgrounds that you could use. And they had such fun on Tuesday with this activity that I've got to play it again. So type into the chat where it is you think I am. Now, this first one was just one of the ones she had included, and I thought was pretty funny, and that you could have a good time using in your staff meetings, not necessarily with your students, but these are all things that you definitely hear during your meetings, during your conference calls. Okay, come on, there we go. Okay, so where am I? Type into the chat. Back to the Future, yes. How about here? Big Bang Theory's living room, yep. How about here? One of my favorite movies, WALL-E. What about here? Finding Nemo, yep. This one I was a little nervous about sharing since the main character, yep, Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's Pee-wee ran into a few issues that don't make him particularly school friendly after the show, but I thought amongst the adults I could share this. This one seems a little computer generated, but it is accurate, I believe, as to, yep, Gilmore Girls, Rachel, you got it. Not a show I watched, and my daughter did a little bit, but she struggled with recognizing that. What about this one? Again, it's kind of computer generated, but the layout is accurate. Not Roseanne. Golden Girls, yes. And this one, my daughter pointed out that this room isn't right for the time frame that the show was taking place in. But yes, Seinfeld. People pointed out the bike and just the layout of the room is accurate, but the computer over here, Jenny said, yeah, no, that maybe this is the Seinfeld living room now if it was still going on, but this one should be easy. Star Trek, yep. How about this one? What's the show and where are we? Friends in Central Park. And this one is a repeat of one of the earlier shows, Seinfeld, yep, the diner that they frequented. This one's easy. Price is Right, yep. What about this one? I should have moved my head over just a little bit. Make this a little harder. Monsters, Inc., yep. And then this one I haven't seen, but my children who are actually in their 20s and 30s now, or 25 and 30, yep, Zootopia, one of their favorites. So I was actually just showing this as an example, but I had some people on Monday think this was an activity that they would enjoy creating for their students. So what I did was take a picture of myself, and I used a website called remove.bg that allows you to remove the background from the picture. And then I was able to superimpose myself on, these were just Google Slides that I brought these pictures in as the background, and then put myself in, because when I was doing it, it was Sunday and I was not camera ready. So I used I would have done it right in Zoom, showing you that they could be used as Zoom backgrounds. And then unsplash.com is a website with some wonderful photos. You just have to give attribution and they provide you with the text. Once you download the picture, you just click and copy and paste the text. But they have a lot of beautiful photos that you could utilize. And oops, I think I skipped showing those here at the end. So we've got the sunflowers, we've got the underwater scene. You can search for just about anything and find great pictures that can be used for virtual backgrounds. So, all right. We have run over in time. I was going to send you off into breakout rooms so that you could chat a bit, but I ended up talking a little bit too long. So I won't do that. But if you do want to leave some final thoughts about, let's see here. What did I ask you to answer? This one, you're able to type an actual phrase. What's one activity you plan to implement with your students this fall to help engage and motivate them? Could be something you learned today, could be something from your own bag of tricks. If you would like to pop something into the Menti tools, so again, you go to menti.com and enter that code 371573, or if you want to do it separately on your phone, you can scan that QR code. Then I have just a last couple of resources to share and that you'll be able to access when I share this slide deck out with you. There's some Facebook groups that have been helpful to me over the time since we've been working remotely, including a Bitmoji craze for educators. If you have jumped on that bandwagon, I also have a Cricut, an electronic die cut machine, and I've seen some fun ideas there. And then there's a variety of other groups just trying to teach through and deal with all of this, and or use Google for doing so. Then I've got some links here for you. One to the MORIC YouTube channel, where the webinars that we did this spring and the webinars that we're doing this summer are recorded and available for you. This links you to our calendar, where we do have a number of courses and webinars left to take place this summer. And then NICEGate, the Educational Technology Organization for New York State, was doing webinars back in the spring, and they have an archive of them here. And if you click, that will take you there. So I like to end with this thought of, this was from back in the spring, but continues to be pertinent, that disruption and discomfort are the enemies of complacency and can spur intense professional growth. I have to say, although I use technology every day, there is so much that I have learned through all the work that all of you have been doing and the questions that you've been asking and all. I've definitely had to push outside my comfort zone, and I know that you all are doing so, and you should be applauded for that. This came from an article that I have linked here that talks more about and provides more resources for teaching and learning during this period of social distancing.
Lori, a lot of people are interested in your math session. Can you tell them how they could register for that?
Let me see if I can find out, and I'll share that in the email that I'm going to send out. I'm assuming on Jefferson Lewis Bosie's website somewhere they have, I think I found they had like a PDF flyer at some point, and it had links for registering in it. But I will track that down and include a link in the email that I will send out. And I will send you all an email with a link to this presentation and also how to get to the MORIC YouTube channel, so that if you do want to reference the recording of this, it'll be up in a day or two once I share it over with Derek. Myself and my colleagues, although we're working in our districts and remotely, we have something called Cisco Jabber that allows our phone number to come to us on our computer. So my office number here, even if I'm working remotely, you can reach me at, or email is always good. And then you can listen to this one at your leisure, but...
Hi there, so this is what yacht rock would sound like if it were written this year.
For a little humor to end the day.
It's this type of feeling.
And thank you, Susan, your comments about the MORIC YouTube channel. I am going to stop recording at this point. I think everything important I had to say has been said, but I can...
Change coming, here we go.